Good morning. What's up, everybody? Got some updates today. Let's see what's going on. Lady got fired. Doctor fired. Good morning. How you guys doing? They're about to get started.
Y'all ready? Okay, this will be our July 7th, 10 a.m. Briefing. Search and rescue operations are ongoing throughout Kerr County. We're using assets from local, state, and national first responders. Hundreds of trained first responders are working every aspect of this emergency. As of 8:30 this morning, we recovered 75 deceased bodies here in Kerr County, including 48 adults and 27 children. Of this 48 adults and 27 children, 15 adults and 9 children are pending identification. At present, there are 10 campers from Camp Mystic unaccounted for and 1 counselor. We continue to offer our condolences to those affected. Reuniting the families remain our top priority here on this operation. Please note that Highway 39 of an Old Ingram Loop remains closed to the public. Other than those who live in that area would not be allowed out there. I will now turn it over to Senator Cruz. City Manager Dalton Rice.
Good morning, Dalton Rice, the City Manager for the City of Kerrville. As everybody knows, we are working in conjunction with the city under a unified command response and again, a lot of devastation. Our hearts go out to the families and the victims. We want to continue to work together as a community. We love the media support on this to be able to communicate that message, communicate family, communicate togetherness, and we really appreciate all the support and helping us be able to do that. Search and rescue, as the sheriff said, search and rescue operations will continue today from Hunt in North Kerr County all the way to Canyon Lake in Comal County. Now, we're only focused on the Kerr County side, but we wanted to talk about that because a linear from Hunt all the way to Comal County in a straight line distance is over 100 kilometers. This is a massive field that is happening. And again, this is unprecedented flood events. So we are still currently in the primary search phase, which is the rapid one. They are running it, we have different segments that are gridded out. Each one of those segments are taking anywhere between an hour to 3 hours, up to 2 kilometers for each segment. So what that means is they're running into a lot of technical challenges with terrain, with water, even potentially, with weather, in the rising fields. We've talked about this before. Volunteers stay out of the way because if we start getting weather reports and all the other complications that are out there, we then have to pull off of those search and rescue missions to be able to communicate to those volunteers to get off, to make sure that they don't become victims themselves. Those operations involve 19 different local and state agencies, in addition to conducting primary and secondary searches. They will be conducting welfare checks on areas in North Kerr County impacted by power outages. And when we say search and rescue operations, that is boat, walking, on the ground, dogs, drones. Again, keep personal drones out of the air. Helicopters. We do have other assets that are continuing the search as well. As of present, KPUB, which is a Kerrville Public Utility Board, is reporting continued power outages between Hunt and Ingram along the South Fork of the Guadalupe River in Hunt. In the South Fork area, there are approximately 40 down power lines and significant infrastructure damage. KPUB has brought in additional utility personnel to help with restoration, but it's not possible at this time when the power is going to be restored. There are some substations along with those power lines that we are still trying to get access to just from debris buildup or them being completely wiped out. So we do not have an estimated time on when those are going to be fixed. We continue to have substantial number of requests for volunteers, as I said before, and donation opportunities. We are asking those who want to volunteer to contact the Salvation Army in Kerrville by phone at 830-465-4797 or in person at 855 Hayes Street in Kerrville. Monetary donations can be made on the Community Foundation of the Texas Hill Country's website at www.communityfoundation.net. They have a Kerr County Relief Fund set up on that site. And I will now turn it over to the Mayor, Joe Herring.
Thank you for being here. I need to tell my community and those families who are waiting, this will be a rough week. Primary search continues, and we remain hopeful every foot, every mile, every bend of the river. Our work continues. You need to know that we have been blessed with help from the community, from the state, and the nation. We have trained experts who are helping in this effort. If you want to volunteer, it is important that you contact Kerrville Salvation Army and register. Dalton gave that number, but I'm going to give it again. 830-465-4797. We need focused and coordinated volunteers, not random people just showing up and doing what they do. We need to work together.
Oh, shit. What does that mean? Is that a shot at somebody?
As Dalton
or just
said,
in general?
Donations have been flowing in from around the world to the Community Foundation. Again, that website is communityfoundation.net. Please follow the City of Kerrville's Facebook page for updates. They're accurate. We take a lot of time to make sure we send out information that will be helpful, not only to residents, but to those who are visiting. I've said this 100 times, and I will say it again. We need your prayers. We need your prayers. Thank you. And now, Senator Ted Cruz.
Texas
Ted
is breathing
Cruz
right now.
Wow.
The pain, the shock of what has transpired these last few days has broken the heart of our state. As of yesterday, the confirmed death toll was 82, and those numbers are continuing to go up. The children, the little girls who were lost at Camp Mystic, that's every parent's nightmare. Every mom and dad. Last week, we were picking up our daughter from camp here in Hunt. Our girls have gone to camp here for a decade. The Hill Country is an incredible part of Texas, part of the country. The natural beauty here is incredible. The camps that have raised generations of little girls and little boys and instilled character and love and faith are extraordinary institutions. And I'll tell you, the pain in our state, and it's every part of the state. You've got Texans from all over the state who were here celebrating the 4th of July. A week ago, this was a time of great celebration. You're dropping your little girl off at camp, your little boy off at camp. You're celebrating Independence Day, you know that your child is going to be swimming and canoes and horseback riding and doing archery and making lifetime friends. And then suddenly it turns to tragedy. For the last several days, I've spoken to multiple parents, scared out of their mind. Do you know anything? Where is my daughter? There's still 10 girls and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic that are unaccounted for. And the pain and agony of not knowing your child's whereabouts, it's the worst thing imaginable. But I want to say, in the face of all of this, it is simultaneously inspiring. Every time there's a tragedy, every time there's a natural disaster in Texas, Texans come together. Texas is a big state. We've got 31 million people, and we have hurricanes, we have tornadoes, we have wildfires. Tragedies hit this state, natural disasters hit this state, and without fail, 100 out of 100 times when that happens, we see Texans coming together, helping each other, engaging in acts of heroism. There have been over 850 high water rescues since this flooding began. 850. You look at extraordinary stories of Eagle Scouts pulling campers out of harm's way. I was just hearing a story of one counselor whose head was right at the water holding up 2 mattresses with campers on those mattresses. That kind of courage, that kind of selflessness. And then there are the first responders. The local first responders, I want to thank every one of the first responders at the local level, at the city level, at the county level, at the state level, at the federal level. In the first few hours of this flood, I was on the phone with Governor Abbott, was on the phone with Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, was on the phone with Nim Kidd, the head of the Texas Department of Emergency Management, and then I called President Trump. I called President Trump. He was having dinner at the time. It was still early in what was transpiring. And I wanted him to know, I said, Mr. President, everything we're hearing right now, this appears to be bad, really bad. There may be a very significant loss of life unfolding right now in Texas. And I will tell you, the President said, Ted, anything Texas needs, the answer is yes. Whatever assets you need, whatever resources you need, yes, let us know, and we will provide everything. Within hours, we had helicopters, over a dozen helicopters in the air. National Guard, DPS, game wardens, Coast Guard, doing search and rescue, reaching down. We've all seen the videos of little girls being pulled up, hoisted out of harm's way. Incredible courage and heroism. Search and rescue is the first stage. But the process of coming together and rebuilding is going to take longer. And I will say to all the grieving families, to all of those who've gotten the worst news imaginable, that your little girl, she's gone. I will say for many of us, those are friends and neighbors who've lost children. Got multiple kids who go to school with my girls. The mayor asked for prayers. And I want to say thank you to the millions of Texans, to the millions of Americans, to the millions of people all over the world right now who are praying for Texas and praying for those parents. Going through this grief, it is going to take love, it is going to take friends and family embracing and hugging and holding them while they weep. And it's going to take the church. With every disaster, one of the things we see here in Texas is the church steps up and the church helps and the church feeds and clothes and comforts. This morning I met with a group of chaplains who've been going through the incredibly difficult process of talking to mom and dad after mom and dad who just lost the most precious person they ever knew. And those chaplains are just trying to love them and show God's love. So I want to say we will come through this. To those in the midst of grief right now, that might seem hard to fathom. but Texas will come through this. And I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to these gentlemen here who are working. They are not sleeping. They are working every day. Thank you to the families. Thank you to the Salvation Army. Thank you to everyone who is just reaching out and saying, how can I help? We will come through this, and we'll come through this together. Thank you. And now we'll take questions.
Senator, you talked about how you know kids here, how you've taken your own kids to camp. Was it ever communicated to you that there was a need, that it was a priority to have a warning system so people had a chance to escape something like this?
Well, listen, I think anytime you're dealing with major rivers, there's a risk of flooding, and there's always been a risk of flooding, particularly on the Guadalupe River. I will say, in the wake of every tragedy, there are things that are predictable. One of the things that's predictable is that you see some people engaging in, I think, partisan games and trying to blame their political opponents for a natural disaster. And you see that with a hurricane, with a tornado, with a wildfire, with this flooding, where people immediately say, well, the hurricane is Donald Trump's fault. Look, that I think most normal Americans know that's ridiculous, and I think this is not a time for partisan finger-pointing and attacks. Now, after we come through search and rescue, after we come through the process of rebuilding, there will naturally be a period of retrospection where you look back and say, okay, what exactly transpired? What was the timeline? And what could have been done differently to prevent this loss of life? And that's a natural process. I think it should not happen in a bitter and partisan sense, but it should happen in a reasonable sense of saying, what lessons can we learn? And I will give an example. Houston's my hometown. If you live on the Gulf Coast, we get hurricanes. That's part of living on the Gulf Coast as hurricanes hit. And I do think Texas as a whole has learned over time how to deal more effectively with hurricanes. And so you look here, we know the National Weather Service put out an emergency warning just after 1 a.m. and a second emergency warning just after 4 a.m. Now, obviously, most people at 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. are asleep. And so I think we will have a reasonable conversation about, are there any ways to have earlier detection? And some of that, the limits of a flash flood, they're very difficult because they can arise so quickly. But everyone would agree in hindsight, if we could go back and do it again, we would evacuate particularly those in the most vulnerable areas, the young children in the cabins closest to the water. We would remove them and get them to higher ground if we could go back and do it again. Obviously, everyone would. The people in RVs by the river's edge. We know in disasters like this, RVs and mobile homes are particularly susceptible, whether a flood or a hurricane or a tornado, they're particularly susceptible to that. And so my hope is, in time, we will learn some lessons to implement to next time, and there will be another flood, there will be another disaster. But next time there's a flood, I hope we have in place processes to remove especially the most vulnerable from harm's way. But I think that's going to be a process that will take a careful examination of what happened and how can we implement processes better in the future to prevent this same loss of life.
Senator, there were claims that the National Weather Service sent that first flash flood warning that should have alerted phones at 1:14 in the morning. But we have a federal public database maintained by PBS Warn, that says the first emergency alert wirelessly here in this area to Kerr County was not until after 9 a.m. That was more than 4 hours after the severe flooding had come to this area. Did you know that? Have you seen that? And what's your response, knowing the state and cuts to the NWS in recent months by this administration?
So I don't know the source for what you're saying. All of the public reporting I've seen is that there were two alerts that went out, one just after 1 a.m., one after 4 a.m. I can tell you, I talked about the partisan finger pointing. I think there have been some eager to point at the National Weather Service and say cuts there led to a lack of warning. I think that's contradicted by the facts. And if you look at the facts in particular, number one, that these warnings went out hours before the flood became a true emergency level. But number two, the National Weather Service here, New Braunfels is where they were headquartered. They had additional manpower. In fact, they had 3 additional people working that night, anticipating that it was going to be a very dangerous weather situation. I also think it's worth noting that the National Weather Service Union, which has been very critical of the DOGE cuts, has publicly said that they don't believe that the reduction in staffing had any impact whatsoever on their ability to warn of this event. And so, look, I think it is reasonable over time to engage in a retrospective and say at every level what could have been done better, because all of us would want to prevent this horrific loss of life. But I think just immediately trying to use it for either side to attack their political opponents, I think that's cynical and not the right approach, particularly at a time when we're dealing with a crisis and we're dealing with grief.
But does this make you question whether there should be cuts at the National Weather Service and FEMA? I know you've been supportive of FEMA.
Look, I am very supportive of FEMA. I'm very supportive of the National Weather Service. They both perform essential roles, and I think it is critical in every federal agency, particularly when you're dealing with public safety, that we make sure that critical roles are maintained. That's a longer and broader discussion, but as I said, everything from the public evidence indicates that was not a contributing factor to what occurred here.
Is it possible to get Dalton in just to talk about that and the National Weather Service?
They're ready to get Ted.
There were escalating forecasts throughout the day from the National Weather Service. What did the emergency managers of the county and other local officials do with that information, starting at 1:15 and onward, where you had the dire river forecast at 6:30? Were emergency managers doing anything to put any processes in place to warn people on the river?
So overall, we were preparing for the July 4th, weekend. So we had National EMR on site. We were, basically stood up kind of a incident command post, if you will, to prepare for that event. So everybody was kind of up looking at weather. We looked at the weather before. When you looked at the National Weather Service, flood map, it spanned all the way from the west side of Texas, with Kerr County kind of being in that upper northeast corner of it. And so everybody, including the National Weather Service, was looking at where's the rain going to hit. We know it's somewhere in here, but with rain, especially when you're dealing with terrain, you got to figure out. Sometimes you don't know until it falls. So once it starts falling, then you got to figure out, okay, how's the watershed going to do this? How's the science going to work? And when you had that north and south fork that we had talked about before, it all converged into one. We do know that a lot of the camps were looking at this just as much as as everybody was. With the rainfall percentages, even the National Weather Service had looked at, and don't quote me on the numbers, but it was anywhere between 1 to 7 inches. We got significantly over that. And again, when it goes into very congregated areas and how that watershed shifts into the rivers, that impacts things. And so the camps, obviously, we've heard stories where campers were getting up. They were up at 3:30 in the morning. They were trying to move to higher ground. That's the head. And the other interesting part of the terrain, and we've talked to UGRA folks as well. This is the headwaters of the Guadalupe. This is the beginning. This is where everything forms when it comes into the North and South Fork. And so as those things develop, it develops very rapidly, very quickly, and this rose very quickly in a very short amount of time. And so those campers that were able to do that, it worked. There's been the other question, and I'll just give this one out. Evacuations. Well, why don't we evacuate? Well, evacuation is a delicate balance, because if you evacuate too late, you then risk putting buses, or cars or vehicles or campers on roads into low water areas trying to get them out, which then can make it even more challenging, because these flash floods happen very quickly. That's what.
And so we saw that in 1987, but was there any discussion to evacuate earlier when it wasn't too late? Was there any discussion about that among the officials?
Sorry, repeat your question.
Was there any discussion to evacuate or activate any emergency plans before it was too late, where it would be very dangerous like that?
Well, so again, just like disasters in Texas everywhere, it's very tough to make those calls, because what we also don't want to do is cry wolf. We don't want to make sure that we activate it at the right time. It is very difficult, very challenging, especially with this. We're looking at 100 kilometers, right? That's a big straight line distance. That's not even along the river. These areas take a lot of time to get out to. So even when first responders were on the ground at 3:30 in the morning and we had reports, we had first responders that were getting swept away actually responding to the first areas of rainfall. That's how quick it happened. First responders who have experience, who are Swiftwater qualified, were driving to as soon as the rain started falling, were driving to these areas, and one of them got swept off the road.
One last question.
4 a.m. from local law enforcement to the camp saying, I know you can't get buses in an hour, but was there anyone telling the camp between 1 and 4 a.m., you need to get the girls to higher ground at the very least, even if they have to walk up there in the rain, as many of them actually ended up doing? Was there any communication from local law enforcement to anyone at that camp between 1 and 4 a.m.?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
That's
What I
good
do
question.
know, though, is there's 55,000 people in Kerr County. Kerr County is a massive, massive area. From here to those camps is 45 minutes on a good day. And so, obviously one of the big challenges that we have, even when you have cell service, a lot of those areas don't even have cell service. Radio communications towers, radio towers within the hill country, it becomes very challenging. So there's a lot of areas, especially when weather comes in, where cellular towers are down or you already have bad service. So there's a lot of factors that play and a lot of variables in there on communication that, again, I think as we work through this process, we know everybody has a lot of questions regarding what are the next steps and what's next. And I think all of these things, these are all great questions. And as we continue search and rescue and as we continue to move to the next step, we definitely want to dive in and look at all of those things, from cell service tower to radio communications, or emergency alerting. Any of those things, I think we all really need to take a look at and review, and we're looking forward to doing that once we can get the search and rescue and stuff complete.
In regards to the total number of, before I say anything else, I just want to say thank you to you, all the first responders, to everyone involved. We've been praying.
Thank you.
The community's been praying. The media's been praying. Thank you guys for doing that. I've got two questions. One for you, try to get an accurate count on number of missing. I know you can't. I know we don't know we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
But do we know a rough idea on total estimates that are still missing overall throughout the county? And then one other follow-up. This may be for Senator Cruz. A lot of speculations being made about this being somehow man involved with the weather modification, with some of the rainmaker
Weather modification.
technology, working with farmland. Do you think any of that, is there going to be any investigations into that?
Let me answer your first question. I'm definitely turning that second one over to him. So on the first question, with missing persons, so obviously we have the knowns, the can't miss it kids, which is the numbers coming down as the sheriff has stated, and then we have the unknowns. Well, we don't know what we don't know. We actually have a 5 hotline line. It fluctuates between 3 and 5, but we're working on it. We get calls 24 hours, 7 days a week. We haven't hit the weeks yet, but we're still taking in calls. We are collecting all that information. So we don't have a solid number that we're willing to talk about right now. We do know that it is a lot, because we also are getting a lot of fake calls. You're looking. This is a worldwide discussion, and we're dealing with scammers. Victims' families are being reached out to, saying that they have their kids pay me money.
Yep.
It's heartbreaking.
Yep.
It's
Happens every
absolutely
time.
heartbreaking.
Every
we're
time.
dealing with with mental health issues where people are calling saying they have visions. All of these things we're dealing with on a day-to-day
That takes me
basis, and we're
back.
having to vet this information.
So many missing person
and
cases
it
I
becomes
covered,
very
people-
taxing on our people. Again, this is an extremely
dream.
heartbreaking. This is, if not the
tarot card
worst,
people,
one
the
of the
psychics.
worst, disasters in this region in a
God,
very,
I
very
forgot
long
about the
time.
psychics. They
even
on this
beyond
case too?
1987.
Oh,
And so,
shit.
So, but we're
Your best estimate, like dozens or hundreds, or just to give people an idea?
a lot. So,
Yeah,
let me-
Yeah,
Not to get into the weeds on, people are asking lots of questions, and where should we start the investigation at?
to the best of my knowledge, there is zero evidence of anything related to anything like weather modification. And look, the internet can be a strange place. People can come up with all sorts of crazy theories. What I know is a reality
Crazy.
is that
You guys
a
have it
whole
on the
lot of
website.
Texans are
Government
grieving
website.
right now. I will tell you, I was visiting with one parent who was talking about online being harassed online because their information was public that they had a little girl who was missing at Mystic. And look, there are a lot of people who are messed up, and my call for everyone, there's a time to have political fights, there's a time to disagree. This is not that time. This is a time just to to reach out, support each other, go volunteer at the Salvation Army, give them money, go volunteer at your church, you know what I did when this happened? Just go hug your kids. Because I got to tell you, I hugged my girls with tears in my eyes, because every one of us who's a parent, there but for the grace of God go I. And nothing will fill the void in these moms and dads' hearts, but they'll make it through it. And every one of us, we have an obligation to come through and help them make it through it. And look, Texas will come through. And let me say, Kerr County, the Hill Country is incredible. It is beautiful. And these summer camps, Camp Mystic is an incredible Texas institution. For a century, it has made a profound difference helping young girls become strong women in Texas and across the country. And so, for me at least, I'm praying for these camps. I'm praying for all the campers, everyone implicated, everyone impacted, and I hope we come together and stand as one doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
So what do you guys think? So they said 70. I don't know. They said 75 bodies recovered, but how do you get 80 something dead? I don't understand that part.
Well, good morning, folks. If you were not here earlier, I put out some housekeeping notes. I want to repeat that.
So I wish they were allowed to ask more questions.
Search and rescue operations. We're asking everyone to adhere with that direction. Hey, excuse me, can we either keep it down or...
Excuse me. Okay, so we have a couple things to check on. Okay, a couple things to talk about. First of all, let me just do this real quick. So Ange found this clip. It's now 89 deaths, so I have to update that when I have a chance. Angie found this clip. Remember yesterday, the whole debacle, these missing girls were found and rescued. Then they said it wasn't true. And the guy that came out and he's like, well, a DPS officer told me it was true. All this weird mess. Check out this clip from this. They posted this morning.
All of a sudden we just hear somebody say, help, help!
And we can tell it was a kid. And after about 20 minutes, we just see her pop up out of debris.
Two sisters discover a little girl swept miles downriver by the raging floodwaters.
And she said she was at Camp Mystic, and we're like, that's 6 miles from here.
Yeah. She was not freaking out at all. She was just like, can I take a shower? And we're like, yeah, girl.
She wanted a shower.
Yeah.
That's what she wanted.
Yeah.
That's the only place I could find that clip. I don't know. This was posted now. It says 3 hours ago. Yeah. Who was that person? They posted this 3 hours ago. Was this from days ago or was this from yesterday? And why isn't this blown up everywhere? These two girls, sisters that found a girl from Camp Mystic. I don't know. And so the story has been making headlines about yesterday's reported miracle rescue of two girls clinging to tree in Texas floods was false account, says Texas Representative Chip Roy. So we covered this yesterday, said it's not true. This was posted. The original source was Cord Shiflett, an Austin man clearing debris, trying to help out, I guess. And he made a post last night, and he's just like, I don't know. If it's not true, I'm sorry, but this is what a DPS officer told me. Very strange, very strange. So this is the guy, Chip Roy, and he's been very, very active on X. He's posted picture, retweeted rescue and recovery efforts in full force. They have to search through all this debris. Here's a video: Camp Mystic on a bus to the reunification center.
It's fresh like spring. You want to pass it on. For you, my friend, this happiness that I found. Can't depend on it. It matters not where you're bound. I'll shout it from the mountaintops. Praise God. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on. I'll shout it from the mountaintops. mountaintops, praise God. I want my world to know the Lord of love has come to me. I want to pass it on.
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living.
Just kind of chilling right here.
For you.
Oh my god.
Eerie to see this. At first time I'm seeing this video.
Been so kind to me.
Wow. Guadalupe. Some footage. This was an hour ago. Some footage along the Guadalupe. Up at Camp Mystic from yesterday. Okay, I was driving back. Place is wrecked, man. The Epstein stuff I want to talk about. I'm going to do a little video probably later. Very sus. That whole thing does not make sense to me. They're saying there's no client list. What? No client list? So who were they trafficking? Nobody? What? Who were they trafficking to? Nobody? That's music, man. man. The whole thing was a show. It was all fraud. It was all fake. Oh, they got all these influencers to go to the White House and get the Epstein files, a BS binder with all the old files, and now it's concluded. There's no client list. So this was the guy yesterday that posted about the two girls, and I don't know what to think, man. The whole situation is weird, but anyway, and this was the video he made about it. And people are sticking by him. He said, to those of you who don't know, court is absolutely offensive for you to imply that he is in any level of clout or self-serving reason. He has no need to do so. Pump your brakes. I don't know. So today he's continued just kind of like normal, I guess, volunteering and helping out, putting out the address, putting in the work, I guess. Come help us today. We're diverting to Center Point and hanging out at Lions Park. Let's see if he's posted anything else. We have a place to work. Okay. He's out there working. Wow, that's crazy. Look at that picture. Wow. I wonder what this mark is, to say that they've checked the vehicle. If you would have tried to hide in your vehicle during the storm, wifey, no, you crazy girl. I remember. If you would have tried to hide in these vehicles during the storm, look at this. Imagine your plan during the storm, during the flood and everything was, let me just stay in my vehicle. Look at this car. Wow. And this is, I don't understand. I guess this is the way they had it set up. It's just odd. The youngest girls at Camp Mystic were sleeping just feet from the river before the horrific floods. There's a map right here. They had the right set housing junior campers is in the lowlands, and as little as 225 feet from the left, which is called Senior Hill, and set on a higher ground. Wow. Also, there was these sisters, they said, it's pretty sad, sisters killed in Texas floods, found with their hands locked together while the grandparents are still missing. Very sad. 2 sisters killed in the devastating Texas Hill Country floods with their hands locked together. Grieving family said. I have a video for that too we can check out. Somebody was talking about it.
Next day, we know this family, the couple, were missing in their 70s, and waited for the road to clear. On the 5th, we came and we searched for about 10 miles. We found 2 bodies, a little girl and a little boy, and then we finally came up here and we found the dad that we were looking for. And today we came back because we haven't found the wife. We believe she's still here in the area, and so we had a great group of people show up, about 40 to 50 volunteers, just looking through rummage and digging up as much as we can. We knew that they weren't really searching this way past Mystic, because I know we need to help those girls, but we were able to find him. So we were hopeful we would be able to find her. It turns out it's very difficult. It seems like it's getting more and more tedious to find. We were focused where we found the husband, Mr. Jose Olvera, thinking because they were holding hands when they got washed away. And we focused there and trying to get as closest to the body as we could, but we just started kind of going that way. And then we found him next to the house where he lived, just 25, 50 feet in the creek. It's just been so sad because you first see the post and it's about 30 people that are missing, and then it's like people are missing and we don't even know, and then all of a sudden they're found, and families and kids, and it's like never ending. You know, you scroll through Facebook and the count is going up, and I don't know, and we're just hoping people can find their loved ones so they can, you know, have some rest and relief, because the unknown is what's killing people. I've driven down from Hunt, and it's the most horrific. As soon as we saw how horrible it was, we kind of knew there weren't going to be survivors. It's just been difficult. It's really hard to go through the river and trying to find anything. The guys have fallen here and there. We're using backhoe to maybe shake up the trees, see if anybody's stuck up there, but it's been very difficult.
On some other crazy stuff too. All right, I want to take you, we'll pause there for a minute. I want to take you to the pediatrician, and then I also found some other crazy ass lady talking about the kids that had passed away, that they died because of racism. So let's start here. So there was a pediatrician that was fired for suggesting that the Texas flood victims were Trump supporters who got what they voted for. And so that's a doctor. That's a doctor that takes care of kids, in case you didn't know. A pediatrician has been fired over the vile post suggesting that more than 80 killed in the horrific Texas floods, including dozens of kids, were President Trump supporters who got what they voted for. Dr. Christina B. Probst drew widespread scorn following the disparaging, since-deleted post under her old Facebook username. Dang. Oh, but she looks so nice, and she take care of your kids. She take care of you, bro. You gotta watch out, man. Take care of your kids. Gotta be careful, man. You take your kids to these doctors, you don't know what's going on, how they're feeling, what they're gonna do, you know, if they know anything personally about you. You gotta be really careful. The so-called experts, right? And so all visitors, children, oh yeah, this was her post. I can't even read. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry, she wrote in a now viral post. Kerr County MAGA voted to gut FEMA. They deny climate change. May they get what they voted for. Bless their hearts. And so I guess the job, and this is the post right here, went viral. May all visitors, children, non-MAGA voters, and pets be safe and dry. So she says here, anybody that's just visiting, may all visitors, children, and non-MAGA voters. This is not the worst that I've seen online, but came under fire. Here she is right here. Her employer, Bluefish Pediatrics, initially said the employee had been suspended before announcing that the individual is no longer employed there. As we previously mentioned in our original statement, we strongly condemn the comments that were made in this post. The post does not reflect the values and standards or mission of Bluefish Pediatrics. Some of these jobs, they have like social media, or a lot of them, they'll have social media, you know, policies and stuff like that. And so, if you're making a post, especially, I mean, over here it doesn't say she's a doctor, but I don't know if her, oh, look, the flag is upside down in her avatar or whatever profile picture. But I don't know too, like some of these people, maybe it doesn't say in there, some of them will have it in their name, doctor, blah, 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 doctor, whatever. I guess this was another account of hers. But even if it doesn't say it in their name, sometimes they'll have it in their bio, you know, and so that maybe that kind of like the job could take that as it represents them or whatever. So she got fired for this post. And now when I was scrolling, I saw some other lady snapping. We got a new one because we covered the TikToker. That TikToker, that the thing went viral, some supposedly preacher's wife, saying all these things about white people and racism, but she's also married to a white guy, right? It's crazy. And so now there's somebody else, another TikToker. TikToker says young girls died in Texas because of racism and because illegals are being deported. More white people will have to die in order for mother effers to care. So this is truly how some people feel about this whole situation. And again, I did a live stream the other night talking about it, and I mentioned this type of stuff. This is where it's coming from.
I'm going to say it because y'all scary as fuck, and I don't give a damn. Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a fuck.
That thing in her cheeks, I wonder if it's connecting all the way. That looks crazy. So she's saying they died because of racism.
Them little girls, them people died because of racism, not politics. Boom, I said it. I don't give a fuck. And am I sad? No. Nope. Because more YT people will have to DIE in order for motherfuckers to what? CARE. I said what the fuck I said. I don't give a fuck, and minds are here with me. We voted the correct way. You reap what the fuck you sow. Just the night before the flash flood happened, y'all were okay with motherfuckers being stripped away from their motherfucking families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with
this. I just don't understand this stuff because, I mean, I've already talked about it so many times. It's just like repetitive now. But Obama was the #1 deporter in like U.S. history, presidential history. These people never had any problem with Obama. He was putting these people in cages. They didn't have a problem with that either. And now they give him I think they give him an option about the kids, like, you know, or the parents. I don't know whose choice it is. You can stay with your parent or not. But people are being deported. That's just, I mean, that's the law. You know, it's just people are being deported. You know, people disagree about how it's going about, I guess. And so people feel like this is like a get back. This is a get back. And yeah, kids need to die. And I tell you, these people revel in this. This is what brings them joy. This is what brings them happiness in their day. And like I said, you see, look with the pediatrician, I told you, people like this, they don't have any positivity or happiness in their life. They're always angry. And they manifest and keep that energy around them. So that pediatrician, look, she got fired. I'm sure she'll get another job. You know, maybe somebody else will pick her up. But
y'all were okay with motherfuckers being stripped away from their motherfucking families and never seeing them again. People being deported. Y'all were okay with that. Be okay with not finding Sarah Lou. Be okay with not finding Billy. Be okay with never seeing them again. Keep that same energy because I'm here for it. I am so here for it.
What a quick Queen said, but is she wrong that white people say the same thing? I think there's vile people in any side of whatever color or political side or political spectrum or whatever, you know, autistic spectrum, whatever. I think there's vile people on both sides, you know, and so I've look at her eyes too, bro. You could tell, woof, you know, something wrong with her ass. Look at this shit. Would you want somebody like that around you, man? Would you want to be dating somebody like that? Would you want a wife like that? You know, somebody that is stirring and stewing, like praising death. You know what I'm saying?
Because I've been reading the comments and the shit y'all be saying. Y'all didn't give a fuck when it was brown people. We sorry that it's white people now, but that's going to happen. This is going to be a repetitive cycle going to happen over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until y'all get tired. Racism cost y'all more than y'all thought.
What does any of this have to do with like the flood that came? Racism.
Racism wrote a what's that that line? Racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash. Yeah, racism wrote a check that your ass couldn't cash.
And if it was a camp, listen, there's never winning with these people too, right? So if it was a camp, let's say it was a mostly predominantly black girl camp, imagine the headlines now. Imagine these people, the way they would have been carrying on. Oh, well, that's racism. They didn't do it because they're black girl, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this and that. But then when it's a camp of mostly predominantly white girls, somehow that's still racism because everything is racism to these people. They can't live outside their whole life, their whole mental, everything, anything that happens to them in their life. There's never any accountability. Is always racism, and it's always complaining, whining, and praising death, glorifying death. You know you got something wrong with you if you're glorifying death of kids. But there is no winning because if it was all black or predominantly black girls that got killed, the headlines would be crazy, and these people would be saying, "Oh, well, they left them because it was racism or whatever." But somehow they still spin it when it's mostly white, predominantly white. I'm assuming. I don't know. That's what it looked like. Kids that were killed. Somehow they're still racist. They're the ones killed. Somehow they're still racist. Everybody's racist. White people racist. Somehow.
And guess who's paying for it? Okay.
That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. So I don't know, man. I don't know. I part of me too is I'm thinking these people just love the attention. Too, I think part of this is,
I'm going to say it because y'all scary as fuck, and I don't give a damn.
I think some of them just like the attention of or rage baiting or whatever they call it, you know. I think some people do truly feel like that, though.
Turn now to our next guest, Doug Fuller and his wife, Libby Evans Fuller. They were swept out of their home in a nearby town near here, Ingram. They clung to a post for hours to survive. Libby and Doug, it's so good to see you. I know Libby, you were just saying it's traumatic even just being this close to the river.
This is the closest I've been since Friday morning when we were in it, and we were out at the Ingram Dam. And it was just so fast.
You were asleep in your beds. And what happened? Tell me how this unfolded.
I got up because it was raining and saw a stranded motorist basically that was riding out the storm and went to offer to take him a cup of coffee. And we started seeing water come to the middle of the parking lot. And I went inside to let her know kind of what was going on. And when I looked back, basically our car started floating away. And that quickly, before she could even get fully dressed, water started coming in through the door, and it rose so high that we got on our mattress. We were able to touch the ceiling.
This is a matter of moments.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 5 feet of water in less than 5 minutes inside the house. I thought it was going to get wet on the floor, maybe muddy. No, we were up, and then he had the good mind to hide his guitars in the attic. We had a panel over where the bed was, and he could put it kind of in the crawl space, and he got up there and put his guitars, and his stepfather was able to go get them for him a couple days later. So
the water comes up, you're able to stash your guitars, your lifeblood, you're a musician. Yeah. Then you're holding onto the door frame of your home. And what were you thinking in those moments?
That I don't want to lose her. And that if I lose her, then I might as well go too. It got really terrifying. We didn't want to go out the door. We didn't want to get sucked into it, but we didn't want to necessarily be trapped in the house and drown that way. So we hung in the door as long as we could. And eventually we got a big surge and it sucked us out.
The water eventually did sweep you away, and you found a post to hold on to?
There's support posts in front of the house. There's an awning,
your issue
and
with H black
there was a
people?
guy already
Was
hanging
it a
on.
receipt
My neighbors
issue
were
with
out there as well,
PH
hanging on.
Pediatrician N?
What is it? Well, I can prep. Thank you for the 5. They're mad more than their kids. Their own kids weren't involved and aren't in danger. What the F kind of attention-seeking behavior is this? Jonah, what is your issue with black people? Was it race? What was it? A race issue with pediatrician? I don't have an issue with black people. Some people think I'm black. I don't know. Some people consider me black. I don't have an issue. I'll just call out the bullshit. You guys are some of the most racist people out there, to be honest with you. You're hateful. You're hateful to your own people. You're hateful to everybody else. You're always angry. There's people like this TikToker and the other TikToker. Always nasty and always a victim. I'm tired of this shit. Get a job, go work, take care of your family. I'm tired of this bullshit, complaining or whining and hoping for people to die.
It's
ridiculous.
And I grabbed his hand. She was able to grab mine. And we hung on for about the next hour and a half, maybe.
Or longer, yeah.
And I mean, we were at the roof line. That's how high
man.
the water got. And we watched buildings disintegrate, cars floating by. It was, I really thought that might be the end. And by some miracle, the water receded. We got our feet on the ground and we just kind of stood around not knowing what to do. And
it's true. I don't know,
looked
man.
in the distance and saw guys in reflective vests, thinking maybe they were first responders, and they were tow truck drivers, and they looked absolutely bewildered to see anybody there. They didn't know why we were there.
JLP.
And we told them we'd been hanging on through this whole thing.
And we had to hang on until the water actually receded all the way back down feet until we could finally touch the walkway in front of our house. And yeah.
That was Friday. And before I let you go, I just want to say something extraordinary.
I've had people tell me, man, like people that grew up, even, I've had a lot of, even black people, quite a bit of stories that they told me they were growing up. The most racist people to them were black people. If you're too light, if you're too dark, if you're not dark enough, if you vote differently, everything's always something. It's all a problem. It's ridiculous. It's just come on, man. All right, so it's just but like I said, there's valid people on both sides. There's valid people on both sides. The pediatrician, she was just talking about politics. She didn't really say race. This chick specifically was talking about race. That's why I went there.
The alerts, through our devices, and we just kind of, were used to it. But we were so close to a fork of the river. We were about 20 yards where our tent was set up. And it was raining throughout the night. So, not all of us wanted to be out there. Otherwise, my kids would have been out there fishing all night. But basically, my husband would get up, and go check the water. And I would listen for him, none of us really slept, I'd listen for him to come back in, and I was just kind of waiting for him to be like, let's go. And then once the water kind of started coming over the bank is when he came in and said, we need to go now. And it was just, the whole family just immediately went into, let's just get out of here. One of my sons grabbed all the dogs. I grabbed the two smaller children. We even had two little orphan ducklings with us that we threw in a bucket and packed with us, that we had brought from home. But we basically, and just my oldest son is amazing. He just immediately started throwing stuff into the vehicle and the trailer. Of course, we weren't able to get, all of our stuff, but that's doesn't matter to us at this point.
Yeah.
We just basically all mobilized. And once my husband said it's time to go, we were like, okay, if he said it's time to go, then it must be serious.
Yeah, and I know you've camped in this spot before. There was, I think, maybe a little bit of flooding last year. Nothing, obviously, like this. Once you were able to get safely to higher ground with your family and the animals, you encountered some pretty rough moments, as I understand it, in what you witnessed.
Yes, and I think we pulled out of the campsite and we parked it. We were still on the island, what we thought was higher ground, but then the kids needed to use the bathroom, so we're like, we're going to go up to the headquarters of the camp. So we crawled.
All right, let's see. Sandra, thank you so much for the 20. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Jonah Black, thank you for the 5. Says, so you do have an issue. I thought there were bad people in every group. Do you think there's more bad blacks? I don't know what you're trying to do. I feel like you're reaching, but I've called out bad people on all whatever color, whatever race. I feel like it's like such a juvenile. We're like in high school, like, oh, you have an issue with black people, or you don't have like more than black people. I've called out all this stuff. You guys are never here for when I call out all the other stuff. You're only here when it's this type of situation. But when I call out on different stories, some other shit that I disagree with, I'll say it. I'm not sure why there has to be such an in-depth thought to think that praising children being killed is a bad thing. I'm not sure why that's something like in your head that's like, oh, but like black and white, I'm not sure whatever. She's literally glad that these kids are dead because they're white. Like, I don't know how more in depth do we need to go into that and like go in circles and like blah, 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 you know? Why is that such a hard concept to get around? You know? I've covered so many stories, man. You could go back and look in my category on YouTube. I know there's a lot of new people, but Jonah, I think you've been around for a while. I feel like I've seen you before. I've covered so many stories. White, black, Asian, Latino, even Latins. Those created the Latins, but you guys never are here for that. You only hear what you want to hear. Even the Latinos and the Santa Muerte psychos. Those people that worship the devil and, you know, the religion of pedophiles and murderers, Santa Muerte. But you guys never hear for that. You're only here for the one time or whenever it comes out that, okay, we're calling this out. You're not allowed to call out one group. You can call out everybody else, but when you call out a person's bad behavior and they happen to be a certain skin color, well, then you're abolished from society. Why is that? Why is that? It's raining outside. It's pouring. I mean, this is the whole thing. People. It's funny when people try to come at me like that. Look at me. My daughter's darker than me. Like, I have all this, you know. I did all over the place, but I am going to call it out. I'm not going to be, like, calling out this or accepting this bad behavior. These wild people, you know, that are feel like this. And it's not the first time. No, it's not a pattern of recognition. It's a pattern of you're biased because you only see the one thing. You don't see the whole picture. You don't see the whole channel. You guys, you only have all you see is everything is racism to you. That's all you can see. So your whole life, everything that happens is racism. You go to the store and something's out of stock. It's racism. A cop pulls you over. It's racism. You failed the test. It's racism. You didn't get a job. It's racism. The girl didn't. You tried to ask a girl on a date. She refused you. It's racism. Everything is racism. After a certain point, that shit gets old, man. Yeah, at some point you're gonna have to grow up. You know. Let me see.
Heartbreak and hope in Texas this morning after catastrophic floods. At least 82 people have died, mostly in Kerr County. This is outside San Antonio. Dozens, though, are still missing, and that number includes children from Camp Mystic, one of multiple camps along the Guadalupe River. Many now question if there was enough advance warning of this. CBS News correspondent Jason Allen has been in Kerrville, Texas since Friday. Jason, I think we spoke as soon as you arrived on the scene. Help us understand how bad things were and how things...
Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate the 20. Thank you for saying it out loud with so many of us are thinking true.
Things look today.
Well, it's been stunning for people, Errol, to see the extent of destruction. And this is in an area of the country, a part of Texas, where they know it as Flash Flood Alley. There have been many flash floods here in the past, and even the extent of this one surprises them. It's a combination of extreme rainfall you can get with moisture moving up from the Gulf and very thin layer of topsoil. Officials here say that they rescued more than 850 people over the last 3 days, some of them from the tops of trees and others from rooftops.
Hundreds of first responders spread out across the Guadalupe River. They climbed over debris piles, searched mangled cars, and combed riverbanks that floodwaters scoured.
Yeah.
Torrential rain.
Damn, painting services by Steve. Yo, how you been? I haven't seen you in a long time, I think. Appreciate the 10. Hope you're doing good. Hey, Mel, yeah, I'm still around, my friend. People can't think for themselves. Ignorance is bliss.
Caused one river to surge nearly 26 feet in just 45 minutes early Friday morning.
We're at Camp Mystic looking for our kids.
Children's summer camps dot the shoreline of the Guadalupe. At Camp Mystic, an all-girls summer camp, the river started running through cabins where children were sleeping. Nearly a dozen 3rd and 4th grade girls are still missing.
We're looking for places that they're going to potentially be alive.
Further down the river, the flooding ripped through homes and campgrounds where families were staying for the holiday weekend.
We're still hoping for the best, but that's all we can do in that and pray.
Brian Blackbird came to the house his family owned, looking for signs of his sister and brother-in-law, Beth and Hutch Bryan. They had friends staying with them. Only one escaped.
He said he and Martha made their way, fighting the current around the house, and
North
that's
Carolina
when she
flooding?
got swept away.
Amid the heartbreak, incredible stories of survival.
All of a sudden we just hear somebody
Racism.
say, help, help.
Sisters Natalie and Emily Rayford said they spent 20 minutes trying to pinpoint those screams. Then they said an 8-year-old girl who had floated 6 miles from Camp Mystic appeared from a pile of debris.
Did you ask her what had happened, how she was able to make it?
Yeah, we asked her what happened, and she said that her cabin was flooding and someone opened a window and she just flew out of it.
The sudden rush of water reached this RV park, packed with campers.
Everybody on the level where the water is in right now, they were barely getting out with their pajamas on and their dogs and their
Lorena Guillen said in the rush to wake people up, they could only watch helplessly as one family was swept away.
just hearing those kids screaming, it was very, very difficult.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott said no one anticipated the severity of the storm.
The moment in time when they knew the magnitude of the water, it's a difficult decision whether or not to begin evacuating people or not.
Okay, all right. So let me put this up on the screen. I think this is what's going on here? Is this an active search? Okay. Live search. What's up, guys? Let me get to some of the chats. We got sidetracked.
Something that's real helpful if our good.
I gotta find where they got this search feed though. Oh my God, Katrina. Oh, I've been trying to reach you since yesterday. You call me when I'm streaming? Let's see. Oh, here it is. Here it is. This looks like some type of, I don't know. I want the search feed. Mm-hmm. I wonder where they got that from. Oh, is this happening live though? This Williamson, another county?
What do you think about your system in Williamson County?
Well, we're happy to work with the governor, and it's good to hear that he's going to add it to the special session. We have a really good system in place, so we can draw when there's threat of high water or weather.
Redfish, bluefish. Thank you for the 10. Haters are real on all sides, and calling it out whenever it happens to truth. Those are people who have one-dimensional thinking. Yes. Hubby and I are watching you, always making this crack up. Even my 82-year-old mother knows you. Thank you. Live a life full. Thank you, guys. They say hi to the hubby. Say hi to mama. I have some friends that tell me their mother's watching too. It's cool.
And this is a great point. We have a warn system, and I think less than us.
Oh. He froze.
Those warnings, whether it's high water, tornadoes, or any emergency, to where you can get that from every mode of communication we have. But like I said, 1,500 notices out,
door to door.
Door to door. In areas historically that are low, the Sheriff's Office Emergency Service went door to door to warn our citizens that the water's coming, you need to evacuate. If you have a chance, especially if it was an RV park, if you have a chance to get your RV out of there to save lives, number one, and property second. So Williamson County made a concerted effort to notify all of our citizens of the weather and the rising water.
Was this the 100-year flood plan or the 100-year flood that Atlas 14 was trying to prepare for the future?
Well, Atlas 14 is working to redo the floodplain, so definitely the water levels that we saw this week that data will definitely be added. But they've been working on that flood plan for a long time, so trying to get the best data we can. And as Williamson County grows, as people come in, sometimes those developments do affect where the water goes. So, we're working with that. So that's a very good plan.
Any big areas of concern when it comes to just unsafe conditions out?
I think they're losing a little. Audio is kind of cutting in and out. I want to see like the full screen of this search. Maybe they'll switch after this press conference.
All those heavy trees and branches are unstable. And
I see somebody has it. I don't know how they have it though.
It's dangerous to be down there. But there's additional debris. There's all the things from upstream. There's refrigerators. There's parts of mobile homes. There's cars. There's all kinds of dangerous things in the river, including snakes, skunks, things like that. So we encourage people to please stay away from the river. Like we said, we have over 100 first responders on the ground. They are in a very dangerous situation to save lives and find, recover bodies and return them to your family. So ask Williamson County to definitely cover them with prayers to keep them safe, and we need all those 100 responders back. We have a helicopter today. We have 2 cadaver dogs. We have drones out there. The clouds and the continued rain are kind of hindering that efforts, but we also have over 100 boots on the ground. And we have several first responders in the river itself, which is still unsafe. And then you add all the debris and the storm damage to that, it makes the situation a little more critical. So please stay away from the river. And like we mentioned, like you asked on the barricades, please do not drive around barricades. We have everyone focused on recovering the missing. We don't need to add to those emergency recovery services.
When can we expect the damage assessment?
Oh, here it is.
It's going to take a long time. At least a couple of weeks on that, maybe longer. I'm going to let Bruce talk to that. For those of y'all who don't know, Williamson County is very blessed to have Bruce Clements on our team. He has a vast array of experience. He's one of the top experts in the state. He's got a ton of experience in disaster assessment and recovery, so I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, Jen. So I'm going to let the audio play, but I'm going to show the search efforts here in the front end.
And out, initially we do what we call a windshield assessment. We take a drive and we try to identify specifically what is the footprint of the disaster, what areas do we really need to focus on. Once we identify that area, then we put these teams together that are about to go out the door right now. They'll be in teams of 2, and they'll be driving the roads and taking photos of infrastructure and homes. That process preliminary damage assessment with FEMA, where we walk literally side by side with FEMA representatives and examine all the damage, and we rate it and agree on it. And then if we get that to that threshold where the county can be included, which is the 2.8 million of uninsured losses, then we're included in the federal declaration, and that opens up resources not only for governments to repair infrastructure, but also there's some, they're limited, but some programs for individuals that can help do some repairs on their homes. They pay for funeral expenses, and there's a variety of other things that the individual assistance program can provide to people if we get the declaration. Okay, thank you.
Well, along that line then, how soon could we get the declaration?
Go ahead, Judge.
So I don't have a timeline on that, but we are in communication with, like I said, the state representative. John Carter's taken the lead for us. He'll be in contact with the federal government, and hopefully as soon as possible. Any more questions?
Is there anything else that you'd like to say before we close
Well, just letting you know, when another body is recovered, we'll let y'all know. We'll put out that deal. And again, Williamson County is very resilient. Very grateful for the response of all of our community to come together to help Williamson County during this time. And I know once we get specific targeted areas that the community can assist in terms of donations, volunteerism, targeted help, I know they're going to come out in droves. We're a very generous community when it comes to that. So, no, just thankful for the community, and we'll be in touch. And God bless Texas. God bless Williamson County. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right. You talking? Oh, okay. They stopped talking. I'm back, pimping. So it looks like they have a live search going on. Thank you guys so much for the support. Oh, Heather, thank you for the 30 months, 2 years. Says race baiting at its best. I've been doing this for so long. I'm too old for the try to catch me with the race stuff. I don't even care, honestly, if they try, whatever, Jen, thank you for the 5. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. Power cut. You guys I'm still here? Yo, the power literally flickered. The problem is I don't have the modem on a battery backup. There was literally like a thunder, like douche. Because it's raining right now, it's pouring. The flood's coming over here. It's because I'm black. I'm what? I don't know. I'm brown or I'm racist or whatever. So the flood's coming here. Or the thing actually just like bleep, like the whole thing. I heard this kind of like boop, cut out. I thought it was gone. I thought I was gone, man. I haven't set that up yet. The modem, I have to put it to the battery. The computer's on the battery. I don't think all the monitors are on the battery, but the computer's on the battery. But I have a little baby battery thing too that I haven't set up with the modem. I need to do that. Maybe tonight I'll do it. So if the power cuts off, I still have some time. I can flicker or can go out for a couple minutes. I'll still be online. The fucking peasant. It's been raining and thundering the last couple days. It's actually been kind of, and then North Carolina is really bad too. Maybe we should take a look at that. Officers watched volunteer fire chief go off road. So he was found, I think, right? He went missing and is found. 89 dead. The trolls have directed their attention to me. That's fine. Take it to me. Let me see. I'm not gonna stop mentioning color. Go reach out to that lady. Tell her to stop mentioning color. Your name is literally Jonah Black. Color's in your name. Get out of here with that bullshit. Says stop mentioning color. Your whole identity is color. Your name is color. That's the whole point of what I've been saying. Your life is color.
You are a blessing to my day. I love your content. I
Thanks,
love
Dark.
you as a person.
Well, Dark, you
God
racist
bless.
too. Dark Vita's wife, thank you so much for the 10. Appreciate that. How many, 92. I haven't heard about the land grab in North Carolina. No, I haven't heard of that. There was a border patrol. There was somebody apparently to this. There was a post. I have to find it again. Some border patrol. Somebody was waiting with a rifle to try to ambush them. He got killed. I want to get a better title. I want a different title. Let's see. Jonah, you canceled too, man. You canceled yourself. I can't get another. Let's see. Let me do this. Oh, what's going on? It's racism acting up. Allergies. All right, let's move on from that. Let's get 97. Let me see what else we got. So the updates. At least 89. So the count has gone to 89. 89 dead. At least 89. Oh, you know what? It's not even this. Oh, there we go. It's that. There. Let's do this one. '89 deceased. People are searching. More bodies being found. Flash flood warning. Well, that was 3 hours ago. Let me get the New York updates. The flash flood warning. Showers and thunderstorms were expected across Kerr County throughout Monday afternoon. We're going to have to check with North Carolina, too. Check with North Carolina. Flood threat increasing in Texas. This was 4 minutes ago. Flood threat increasing in Texas. Parts of central Texas are now under a level 3 out of 4 for flash flooding. So for the Texas people watching, be very, very careful. If I was in Texas, if I was in any of these areas, I would definitely have some type of news feed going on, radio, broadcast, something. Kerr County, which was hit hard by this weekend's rain, is just east, outside of the zone, preparing for a new flash flooding. Wow. Flash flood. So they're still... It's like God is mad at us, or nature. It's raining over here. They almost took me out. My connection almost went out. It's like a sign. Oh, Lord by Numb. Yes, I saw that. Did you catch the anti-immigrant protests in Mexico the other day? The irony. Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe I can show a clip of that real quick. In Mexico, they're upset about outsiders coming to live and take their place of living or jobs. Or let me see what the clip is. And so they're protesting. And it's very ironic. Rioters in Mexico City demand that Americans stop immigrating to their country, stop stealing their homes. Wow. What do you guys have to say about that? Hold on.
Países, en su mayoría extranjeros, a querer imponer su cultura.
We don't want foreigners.
Precios.
Put the borders up. We're tired of these Americans coming over here.
Mexicanos a los nativos de estas tierras.
Mexicans are native to this land. We're tired. Are y'all gonna go call them racist and open your borders and how you're so cruel, and are you gonna go tell them F their kids and all this stuff?
Vengo porque la gentrificación solo es un paso más a la colonización, a los despojos.
The possession and exploitation of our resources. Yo, what the hell? We're in bizarro world right now. Char, thank you so much for the 5 memberships. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Y a que exploten nuestros recursos.
This is crazy. Signs call for stricter housing and tourism regulations. Airbnb, impuestos, rentas y playas. Demonstrators spoke out against wealthy digital nomads driving up prices. Particularly Americans who can stay in Mexico for 180 days without visa. Damn, gringos go home. You know what that sign says? That sign says Americans go home. That's what they used to call me. When I would go to Dominican Republic, they call gringo. They used to make fun of me because they could tell when you're not really from there. I mean, my family's from there, but they could tell by the way you dress and your mannerisms. They would joke around, call me gringo. So over here, they're saying Americans go home. Ain't that funny? Isn't that crazy?
Patriarcal, anticlasista, proletaria.
Turista. So this was interesting. I haven't watched this video, but that's what's going on in Mexico, apparently. It's pretty wild. I never thought I'd see that. They should do make Mexico great again or something. Like a slogan. Come up with their own slogan. Yeah, so 87 dead in Texas. It's horrible, man. 10 girls still missing. 10 girls and one counselor still missing. North Carolina looks crazy as hell too. I'm not sure why there's not as much, because I didn't even. I was trying to see if there was any live feeds. I didn't see one. I saw some weather broadcasts, but North Carolina. State of emergency declared. Let's take a look at North Carolina, because they're not really getting any attention. But I'm sure it's going to pick up. I think it is going to pick up, North Carolina. We'll see if it continues.
There is significant flooding, evacuations, and a state of emergency right now. More than 100
pleasure.
roads
and you
in and around
pronounced my
Chatham
name
County
correctly.
were.
I did. I'm very surprised. The chat's surprised too. Trust me. I appreciate the vibe. Thank you for the support.
Flooded, and a portion of a highway just collapsed and washed away. So let's go to Jamise Price now on the scene for us from our station WTVD. Good morning, Jamise.
Good morning, Gio. Families are waking up to major flood damage here in the Durham County area. This area really feeling the impacts of that tropical system that pounded the area over the last 24 hours, causing rivers to swell and the Eno River spilling its banks. And this is what you see now, all of that flooding, that water rushing into this community. You can see this water rising all the way up to the top, covering the air conditioning system right here. And then a little bit further in, you could see a swing set that is also nearly covered as well. All of that water just really rushing into this community. We were able to speak with one woman. She says this home has been in her community for about 30 years. This morning, it is a total loss. Guys.
Okay, thanks very much.
So that's North Carolina. North Carolina. I feel like we'll probably get some more out of that. It's just starting to pick up. I saw last night they were talking about it a lot. North Carolina. Chantel brings heavy rainfall, tornado, flash flooding. Man, the cleanup is going to be so crazy for Texas. And just the thing of like potentially running into finding somebody, finding a body. I'm saying it's a lot of hard work. It's dangerous. All kinds of wildlife or just dangers. And back in the day when they had no kind of warning. Or like hurricanes back in the day when they didn't have the weather to meteorologists or whatever to monitor it. Hurricane would just come out of nowhere and wipe everything out. Family of 33 survives country floods. 33. The heck?
And the devastation, there are incredible stories of survival and Texans helping Texans.
One family on vacation had 33 people with them.
What?
33, and every single one of them survived. Our Gage Goulding went to the hardest hit part of Kerr County in Hunt, Texas to find just that.
And Gage is joining us now live from Kerrville. Gage.
You know, if we learned one thing over the last 2 days here in the Texas Hill Country, I'll say it's this. The people here are remarkable. Our mission today was to set out and find a silver lining in what's now easily described as a historical, devastating situation. Well, what we found is strength.
This area has been very near and dear to our families for a long time.
It's the vacation David Fry's family looks forward to every summer. This year, it's 33 of them coming to the River Resort Inn in Hunt, Texas.
The flood water in North Carolina is brown. That's so racist. Let's see where the TikTokers say avoid that one.
In this unit,
And it might be the last. You can see how life is stopped still here. Swim trunks hanging on the wall, dominoes waiting for the next game, and a movie lying by the only road in and out of town. The raging Guadalupe River created this hellscape after rising more than 25 feet in under an hour, all in the middle of the night.
So we went through banging on doors, just trying to notify as many people as possible and get them out and push them up to the road. A couple of vehicles had already been lost off the roadway to fast water, and so
they had no choice but to climb up onto the roof of the building, hoisting one another up. David saving his family, others at the hotel, and even those stranded in homes across the street.
You had a whole village of people that you had to worry about. What drives you to help even more people?
It's the only thing that matters.
They all survived. As the storm continues a few miles down the river.
And I just screamed. I called 911, nothing happened. And I screamed, God, I don't know what to do.
Diana Smith waking up to find her house surrounded by floodwater. It was too late to evacuate.
Open the front door and it sweeps both my dogs different directions. And I'm panicking, thinking, now what the hell am I gonna do?
I said a prayer when I was standing on my porch. Both my parents are deceased. And I said, Mom, Dad, God, help.
She and her two dogs surviving by jumping in a kayak and literally riding out the storm.
Do you think it's that prayer is why you're here today?
Yeah. I have a kid.
Diana and David are among the survivors here in Kerr County who found a way to survive the impossible.
I don't know what to think. I think I'm still in shock.
You know, it was a very, very close call. And had we been 10 or 15 minutes later, you know, it would have been too late.
Now, in that interview with Diana, you know, she told us that while she was in that kayak holding on to her house so she wouldn't float away, she kept hearing help, help, help off in the distance. It's something that David told us that he heard as well. Here's the eerie part, right? That was their neighbors and people in buildings around them, but it was also those floating down the Guadalupe River. Diana saying she saw 3 cars float right past her house. It is that right there that made her not get into her truck and instead get in that kayak. That decision right there likely saved her life. I'm reporting live in downtown Kerrville. Gage Golding, KSAT 12 News.
Wow. Ride it out through with a kayak. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Let's see what else they got. So they're just, to me, they're just going through all the debris, clearing it out, breaking it down. Somebody said breaking, Jeffrey Epstein never existed at all. That, I don't know, man, we're duped with that whole thing. Wow, look at that car. Big car. What's a truck? Pickup truck. Look at all the stuff inside of that vehicle, man. Oof. Hey, Southern Girl, you can email me at ikandmel@ikandmel.com, or you can go to the website, ikandmel.com, and just, there's a submit a tip area. You can go through there. It bypasses all the spam. It sends it to a different email that is not public. because my public emails get a bunch of spam and stuff. So if you do it through the website, it kind of bypasses all that. Oh, I have some emails already. I didn't even see that. I had the 3:30 in the morning. Oh yeah, flood video. Thanks, April. Facebook. Oh, thank you, Kathy. Doctor that was fired. I'm sure she'll find some other job somewhere else. It'd be a little setback for her, but she'll probably have to lay low. The boys are back in town. I don't know why that song popped in my head. The iconic movie Rush Hour. That movie was a classic. Now comes with a content warning because of Gen Z. So I guess there's a warning now. It says, we TV 14 DLV. We love all our 90s buddy comedies, but this movie was created in a different time. FYI, certain depictions, language, and humor may seem outdated and at the times offensive. I might have to go back and watch that movie. I thought Tropic Thunder was hilarious. I thought it was a great movie too. I've watched that movie. There's very few movies that I watch multiple times. Tropic Thunder I've watched a couple times. I've watched Scarface a couple times too. One of my favorite movies. Oh, snap. I'll be right back. I forgot. The boys are back in town. All right. Let's see what we got going on. It's right at 1 o'clock. Ooh. North Carolina, some info. Let's see what we got. North Carolina. Homes, businesses, and hundreds of roads have been flooded and washed out in streets, sent rivers into major flood stage and prompted water rescue Sunday. Flash flood warnings were issued early Monday morning of several North Carolina counties as part of southern Virginia. Parts of southern Virginia. Okay. First responders have performed more than 50 water rescues since Sunday evening. No injuries or deaths have been reported, but some 60 people have been displaced. So North Carolina is doing good so far as no injuries and deaths reported. The boys are back in town. I guess we're good. I guess we're good for now. Let me just check a little bit real quick. I think we got everything we needed for this update this morning. It's been a crazy couple of days, very busy. Justice Department released a 10-hour, 11-hour video of Epstein's jail cell. Mentioned that last night. Crazy. No. Is that true? Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. Oh, we got helicopter feed. They're saying Hakeem Jeffries uploaded an edited photo of his waistline to Instagram. Hold on, we'll get to this. Yo. I thought it was fake. This is his page right here. Look at this photo. Look at the bench. Why is the bench warped? Bro. Okay, this is insane. Look at this photo though. Damn, bro. He didn't check that when he posted it? Oh, they took away the helicopter feed? Damn. That would have been cool to see the helicopter feed. They took it away. Alright, see if it'll come back. They have all kinds of stuff now. They have like these waist thing for men's now, the chest things. They got like all this outfit stuff. You know how women now, they can enhance their butt? They put something like some pants on, or like they have this whole bodysuit. They have men's one now too. This live again? Let's see. That's too bad. I wanted to see that helicopter feed. White House briefing. All right. I have 2 hours live. You're in Bexar? Lots of water crossings and structurally unsafe roads and bridges. Be safe out there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's dangerous. Sometimes, too, the danger could be after the flooding, you know, just like hurricanes after. Snakes, yeah, snakes, wildlife. I don't know what why the focus is on this spot. Live from Kerrville, not far from Camp Mystic. So this is like a Camp Mystic the Camp Mystic area, not too far from it. Sky News. You can find it on Sky News on YouTube. All right. Let's see. I think I'm going to save anything else. We might be done. There's going to be a press White House briefing, but. Oh, what's this?
On the ground in Kerr County, that's where we find Fox 4's Brandon Todd. Hey, Brandon.
Hey there, Hannah. Alongside the Guadalupe River, you can really see not only just how much damage that flood did, but you can see just how powerful the waters were. This is just a very tall, very wide area of debris, tree limbs, and in some cases whole trees that were uprooted somewhere downstream and carried and pushed up against this tree that didn't fall. And so this kind of is what you see all along the banks of the Guadalupe. And I want to kind of reference here along the water's edge, just as the grass down there stops, you can kind of see that white lumpy area. It looks like sand. That's actually rock. And I'm told by the residents that live here, they didn't even know that that rock existed.
Whoa.
All of this, everything you see used to be just a grassy field with some trees. And then way over there on the other side is
Emergency
where
Management
the
Center in a smaller
always...
municipality. An event's coming to you. It's just a matter of when. And so don't think that it's not going to hit you, and be prepared for that. And then the quicker the local municipalities and emergency management centers and even the states can reach back out to us and tell us, hey, our reunification center is going to be here. If I go back to the California wildfires, they put thousands and thousands and thousands of people in very small areas for reunification. And it was quickly realized that they were saturating a lot of capacity in a very small area. And so the quicker we know about those areas, the quicker we can respond where it's never even noticed by the users.
Excellent. So let's turn our conversation now to recovery. And my first question related to recovery, I'm going to ask Dennison Coomer, Roger Lord, and Jeff McKnight to chime in. The 2024 hurricane season saw back-to-back impacts from hurricanes Helene and Milton, leading to enormous amounts of displaced sand, erosion, and leading to challenging storm surge impacts, necessitating a long cleanup period. Are there any lessons learned related?
Okay. Where's that at? Oh, here. I want a chopper.
They did receive the notifications. They were watching the news. They were listening to the radio. They knew it was going to rain. They knew that the river was going to rise.
So they knew.
They have, in their experience, one gentleman told me he's lived here 20 years. He's never seen the river go beyond basically where I'm standing right now. Maybe the water got up this high. Maybe it came up to the middle of this bank right here. That's it. That's the only experience they've ever had with the river rising. So when they hear the news, the river's going to rise, a lot of rain, that's what they think of. They do not think of what actually transpired and the powerful nature of what happened at the Guadalupe River here early Friday morning. They never in a million years would they have conceived that that would have happened.
Yeah, months of rain in a matter of hours. All right, well, Brandon, thank you for a look on the ground. And as those flood watches continue in central Texas, a few showers are showing up on our radar. Meteorologist Dylan Federico joins us now with the latest for our area and across the state. Hey, Dylan.
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. And yeah, unfortunately...
All right, I think that's it for now. I think we're going to call it and take a break. We'll reconvene later. It depends. We'll see what happens. You know, whether it's another update or we just cover anything that's happening all over the place. There was a lot of stuff happening. Shootings last night, the night before. There was a guy with this was a story too. There was a guy with tactical gear that a man with a rifle and tactical gear opened fire on law enforcement Monday at the Border Patrol facility in McAllen, Texas. One agent was shot, 2 others injured before they shot and killed the suspect. So, dangerous times, dangerous times. All right, but thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate it. Love you guys. I'm going to go have a little lunch, and I've been doing some little fish tech stuff. Got to take care of the fishies, upgrade some stuff. I didn't do my gardening yesterday because of all the rain, and it started raining today. I don't know. We'll see what happens if I have time. But I will catch you guys later, and subscribe to the Ick and Mel Clips channel, all right? Thank you. Love you guys. Bye. Bloop, 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 bloop. Bloop, 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 bloop. Take care.
Did not survive the deadly floods.